The Orphan Who Became King, a dark African folktale. The Night of Terror. I will never forget the night King Ode disappeared. It was the night the spirits came to collect their final prize. It started with a scream, long, sharp, and filled with terror. The sound tore through the quiet village, making even the bravest warriors freeze. Then, silence. By dawn, the king was gone. All that was left were his sandals, lying in the dust, and the deep footprints leading into the forest, prints that stopped suddenly, as if something had swallowed him whole. But to understand what happened to King Ode, we must go back to the beginning, to the day he was just an orphan named Adewale. The orphan's struggle. Adewale was born into suffering. His father, the rightful king, had been poisoned before he was even born. His mother, a young queen with frightened eyes, was accused of treason and dragged into the forest one night. She never returned. The boy should have died too, but a kind old woman, Ayamareo, took pity on him. She raised him in secret, far from the palace, in a small hut at the edge of the village. From the moment Ode could walk, he was treated like a curse. The other children would throw stones at him. Their parents would whisper behind his back, calling him Omo Iku, the child of death. His only friend was Deo, another orphan, with a thin frame and mischievous eyes. "You will be king one day," Deo would always say, grinning. "I can feel it." Ade never believed him. How could he be a king when he had nothing? The evil within the palace. Meanwhile, in the palace, Prince Odigon, Ade's uncle, sat on the throne. He was not meant to be king. He had stolen it, just as he had stolen Ade's father's life. Odigon was a powerful man, dressed always in the finest robes, but there was a darkness in his eyes, a hunger for power that never faded. He ruled with fear, surrounding himself with warriors who carried sharp blades and sharper tongues. But no amount of wealth could silence the rumors. "The true heir is alive," they whispered. "The orphan will return." And so, the order was given. Find him. Kill him. The return of the lost prince. One evening, while fetching water, Ode heard voices in the trees. "They say he lives near here," a deep voice murmured. Fear gripped him. He ran faster than he ever had before, his bare feet kicking up dust. But no matter how fast he ran, he could not outrun fate. The king's guards found him. They dragged him to the palace, throwing him onto the cold stone floor before Odigon. The false king smirked. "So, the rat has returned." But fate had its own plans. As Odigon raised his dagger, a sudden voice boomed through the palace. "Stop!" It was Chief Olamide, the oldest and most respected elder. "This boy is of royal blood," he declared. "He must be given a chance to prove himself." A trial was set. If Ode could survive a deadly test in the spirit forest, he could claim his birthright. If he failed, the throne would never be his. The trial of the spirits. No one who entered the forest of whispers ever returned. But Ode had no choice. Armed with nothing but a small knife, he stepped into the darkness. The trees loomed like giants, their twisted branches whispering in voices he could not understand. Then, the spirits came. They were not like men. Their faces were long and pale, their fingers stretching unnaturally. They did not walk, they floated. "Why do you enter our land?" one of them hissed. "I come for my destiny," Ode said, though his voice shook. The spirits laughed, a terrible sound like bones cracking. "A king must give something to take something," they whispered. "A sacrifice must be made." A shadow rose before him, forming into a monstrous shape. The spirit lunged. Ode slashed wildly with his knife. The blade struck something solid, and the spirit let out a shriek. Then, silence. The spirits vanished. And Ode walked out of the forest, alive. The people gasped. The trial was over. Ode was king. The price of power. For years, Ode ruled wisely. The village flourished. The rivers were full. The people were at peace. But all blessings have a cost. 3 years after he took the throne, strange things began to happen. The first man disappeared. His name was Kola, a tall, fair-skinned hunter. He had gone to the river one evening and never returned. His canoe was found drifting, empty. The second was Bobatond, the fair-skinned elder who always told stories by his hut. His footprints stopped suddenly in the dirt as if something had swallowed him whole. The third was Aefe, a young fair-skinned trader, laughing with his friends one moment and gone the next. Panic spread. "This is not sickness," whispered Chief Olamide. "This is a dead being collected." And then, the truth hit Ode like a spear through the chest. The spirits. 3 years had passed. They had taken 3 fair-skinned men. And now, they would take the last one. The prince. Ade's own son, Olu, had been born with fair skin, the only one among his children. The spirits had come for him. The night before the spirits arrived, Ode made his choice. As his son slept, the king dressed in his finest robes. He stepped into the darkness, alone. By dawn, he was gone. All that remained were his sandals, lying in the dust, and the footprints leading into the forest, prints that stopped suddenly. The spirits had taken their king. The curse continues. The village mourned their king. But they also knew the truth. Every 3 years, the spirits would return. And they would always ask for the same thing. A fair-skinned man. The people built a shrine in the forest, offering prayers and sacrifices to keep the spirits at bay. But deep inside, they knew. The curse was not broken. It would never be broken. And one day, the spirits would come again. The legend of Adewale's sacrifice still haunts the village. Every 3 years, the spirit returns, taking another soul as payments for the deal struck long ago. Will the curse ever be broken? Or is the village doomed to pay this price forever? What would you have done if you were King Ode? Would you sacrifice yourself or let the spirit take your child? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss another dark African folktale like this one.